40 verses. Thera Kassapa the Elder. Adapted from the archaic translation by Mrs. Rhys Davids. Kassapa the Great. Our Lord had already arisen, and was turning the wheel of the path, and staying at Rajagaha, when at the Brahmin village of Mahatitta in Magadha, this Thera was reborn as Pipali Manava, the son of the chief wife of Kapila the Brahmin. 4 years later Bhadra Kapilani was reborn of the chief wife of the Kosya Gota Brahmin at Sagala in the kingdom of Madha. Now Pipali Manava refused to marry. While you live, he told his parents, I will take care of you. Afterwards I shall leave the world. But to appease his mother he had a statue made of a beautiful maiden, dressed in crimson and ornaments, and showed it her saying, Mother, if I find anyone like this, I will lead the domestic life. His mother was a clever lady, and sent Brahmins forth, with the statue, on that quest. They came to Sagala, and setting the statue by the river's edge, sat down apart. Now Bhadра's nurse, who had bathed her charge, and gone down again for her own bath, saw the statue, and thinking, What? Is my young lady so ill-bred? Slapped it on the cheek, and discovered it was not Bhadra, but a gold statue. The Brahmins approached her, inquiring about her mistress, and she brought him to the house of Kosyagota, where they were made welcome. And they sent word to Kapila. We have got the maiden. Do you act accordingly? But Pipali Manava and Bhadra, being both unwilling to marry, wrote secretly each to the other, thus, he, Bhadra, and she, Sir, may you obtain a menage suitable to your birth and fortune. I shall leave the world. Do not act so as to regret hereafter. Now the two letter-bearers met, questioned each other, read the letters, and said, Look at the work of these children. Throwing away the letters in the forest, they wrote others and took them. So the marriage was celebrated. But the wedded pair spent the night separated by a chain of flowers. And when Pipali Manava's parents died, he and Bhadra decided one day, after they had dined and talked together, to renounce the world. And they got out yellow clothing from their wardrobes, and cut off each other's hair, slung bowls from their shoulder, passed out through their weeping servants, to all of whom they gave their freedom, and departed together, Pipali Manava walking in front. And looking back, he thought, Here is Bhadra Kapilani, a woman worth the whole of India, walking at my heels. Someone seeing us will think, These have renounced the world, but cannot do without each other. So, falsely accusing us, they may incur danger of hell. And he told Bhadra this, and she agreed that a woman must needs be a hindrance to the male monk. So they settled, at the crossroads, that he should go right and she left. Then the earth, though it could bear all Sineru, trembled at the weight of such virtue. And the Supreme Buddha, seated in the fragrant chamber of the great Vihara in the bamboo wood, knew what the earthquake signified. And gathering 80 chief Theras together, he walked 3 leagues on the road, and seated himself at the foot of the Bahuputaka Banyan, between Rajagaha and Nalanda. And though he was clad in a ragged robe, the Buddha rays shone forth from him and darted to and fro, and the tree took on different colors. Then Kassapa the Great perceived, This will be our Lord, through whom I have left the world. And bending low, he said, The Lord, the Exalted One, is my Lord. I am his disciple. And the Exalted One said, Sit, Kassapa, and I will show you your inheritance. And in 3 homilies he gave him initiation into monkhood. So they returned to Rajagaha, Kassapa exchanging his new robe for the Lord's old one, and with humility and zeal determining to practice the 13 dhutangas. And on the 8th day thereafter he won arahantship with thorough grasp of the spirit and letter of the path. Him the Lord pronounced chief among those who undertook the extra austerities. And he, by way of showing the charm of detachment, told his experiences, in addressing the monks, thus. I, on seeing bhikkhus mingling with crowds, and frequenting laymen's houses, walk not where many folk would make you chief. Dizzy the mind becomes, and hard to win is concentrated thought. And he who knows ill luck is meant for the company of many folk, will keep himself aloof from place of crowds. Go not, O sage, to hearths of citizens. Who greedy seeks to taste life's feast entire, neglects the good that brings true happiness. A treacherous bog it is, this patronage of bows and gifts and treats from wealthy folk. It is like a fine dart, bedded in the flesh, for erring human hard to extricate. 2. And teaching to bhikkhus to practice content respecting the 4 necessaries of life. Down from my mountain lodge I came one day, and made my round for alms about the streets. A leper there I saw eating his meal, and as was meet, that he might have a chance, in silent courtesy I halted at his side. He with his hand all leprous and diseased, put in my bowl a morsel. As he threw a finger, mortifying, broke and fell. Leaning against a wall I ate my share, nor at the time nor after felt disgust. For only he who tax as they come, the scraps of food, medicine from excrement, the couch beneath the tree, the patchwork robe, stands as a man in north, south, east, or west. 3. When he was asked, in his latter years, how is your reverence able at your time of life day after day to climb the hills, where some do perish as they climb the rocks? Heir of the Buddha, mindful, self-possessed, by forces of the spirit fortified, did Kassapa ascend the mountain top. Returning from the daily round for alms, Kassapa climbs to some craggy corner and sits, in meditation wrapped, nor clutching aught, for far from him has he put fear and dread. Returning from the daily round for alms, Kassapa climbs some craggy corner and sits, in meditation wrapped, nor clutching aught, for he among those that burn is cooled and still. Returning from the daily round for alms, Kassapa climbs some craggy corner and sits, in meditation wrapped, nor clutching aught. His task is done, and he is free from material desires. IV. On being asked further, but why does your reverence at your time of life live in the mountain jungle? Is not the bamboo grove, or others like it pleasant to you? He replied, those upland glades delightful to the self, where the kareri spreads its wildering wreaths, where sound the trumpet calls of elephants. Those are the hills in which my self delights. Those rocky heights with hue of dark blue clouds, where lies embosomed many a shining tarn, of crystal clear, cool waters, and whose slopes the herds of Indra cover and bedeck. Those are the hills in which my self delights. Like serried battlements of blue-black cloud, like pinnacles on stately castle built, re-echoing to the cries of jungle folk. Those are the hills in which my self delights. Fair uplands rain refreshed, and resonant, with crested creatures' cries antiphonal. Lone heights where silent rishis oft resort. Those are the hills in which my self delights. Here is enough for me who gladly would live, in meditation wrapped, mindful and tense. Here is enough for me, who gladly would seek the highest good, a monk filled with zeal. Here is enough for me, who gladly would live in happy ease, a monk filled with zeal. Here is enough for me who give myself to studious toil, so am I filled with zeal. Clad with the blue-colored bloom of flax plants, blue-dotted as sky in autumn, quick with crowds of all their varied winged populace. Such are the hills in which my self delights, free from the crowds of citizens below, but teeming with flocks of many winged things, the home of herding creatures of the wild. Such are the hills in which my self delights. Crags where clear waters lie, a rocky world, haunted by black-faced apes and timid deer, where under bright flowers run the silver streams. Such are the hills in which my self delights. For that which brings me exquisite delight is not the strains of string and pipe and drum, but when, with intellect well poised, intent in vipassana of the path. V. When addressing bhikkhus delighting in secular activities and greedy as to gifts of things needful for life, he said, "Let not a monk occupy himself with busy works. Let him keep clear of folk, nor strive to copy nor to emulate. Who greedy seeks to taste life's feast entire, neglects the good that brings true happiness. Let not a monk occupy himself with busy works. Let him keep clear of this, that nowise tends to his real good. The body toils and suffers weariness, and thus afflicted he attains no calm." VIII. The following verses were spoken to address on certain occasions. By mere repeating with a muttering lip, we see not even ourselves for what we are. And so, stiff-necked, we go about and deem, "A better man am I than he, than they." No better, truly, is the fool, and yet he deems himself to be the better man. But him, poor creature of a stiff-necked mind, commend not they who truly understand, who is not exercised about himself in this way or in that. The better man am I, no better, I, or I am worse, or yet again, I am as good as he. He who did really know, and speaks truth, whose heart in righteousness is well composed, and holds fast the saints' serenity, him do they praise, who truly understand. He who among his fellow monks wins no reverence, is far from the good path, as is the firmament far from the earth. But they who well have planted modesty, and worked hard for discretion always in their heart, they in the holy life do richly thrive. For them rebirths are ever at an end. A monk who, though clad in patchwork robe, is of a puffed up and unsteady mind, as it was a monkey in a lion's hide, no glory from his gear august did gain. But who, with uninflated, firm mind, is prudent, with his senses well controlled, he shines glorious in a patchwork robe, as lion in the somber mountain cave. 7. On witnessing the gods of the Brahma world doing obeisance to the venerable Sariputta, and marking how the venerable Kapina smiled. See how they stand, those teeming with deities of mystic potency and glorious. 10 times 1,000, all of Brahma's heaven, around our valiant captain of the path, great son of Sari, calm and wrapped in thought, praising him with clasped hands appraised. Hail you, O humanity's aristocrat! Glory to you, you supremest man! Lo, past our thinking are your ranging thoughts. O wondrous are the enlightened of the world! Their intuition, how profoundly deep, beyond the powers to which we testify, though we be skilled as archer splitting hairs. Then, seeing Sariputta thus adored by hosts divine, Saint most adorable. A smile stole over the face of Kapina. 8. The Thera's lion's roar, concerning himself. In the whole field of Buddhas following, saving alone the mighty Lord's self, I stand the foremost in ascetic ways. No man did practice them so far as I. The Lord has my loyalty and love, and all the Buddha's ordinance is done. Lo, have I laid the heavy load I was having. Cause for rebirth is found in me no more. For never thought for clothing, nor for food, nor where to rest did the great mind affect. Immeasurable, of our Gotama, no more than spotless lotus-flower takes a mark from water. To self-sacrifice continually prone, he from the sphere threefold of new becoming is detached. The neck of him is like the fourfold tower of mindfulness set up. Yes, the great seer has faith and confidence for hands. Above, the brow of him is insight. Nobly wise, he ever walks in peaceful blessedness.